I'd like to call to order the 14 February 2022 Jackson County Commission meeting. I'd like to welcome everyone on this 14th of February, Valentine's Day. And thanks for being here for everyone. At this time, I'd like Ms. Johnson, the Assistant County Administrator, please call the roll to establish quorum.
Mr. Rich?
Present.
Mr. Venable?
Present.
Mr. Buckner?
Present.
Mr. McBride?
Present.
And the chairman.
We do have a quorum. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd also like to have everyone please stand. Would like to ask Mr. Porter, our County Attorney, to offer invocation, and Commissioner McBride to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord God, our Father, we're thankful. We come to you every day being thankful to be able to live in this wonderful country, this great county, this wonderful city. We're thankful for all of those that serve us in a public way, both as commissioners, as staff at the courthouse, and law enforcement in other areas. We're thankful for them and for their families. We pray you'll watch over them and guide them. Keep them all safe, keep them all healthy. Thank you for the blessings that we have to be able to live each and every day. Watch over us and guide us. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time in the packet, we do have minutes for our January the 10th, 2022 meeting and our January 24th, 2022 meeting. I'm sorry, I'm going to back up a little bit. At this time, if I can get a motion to approve the agenda of our meeting today, the 14th of February, 2022. The agenda is in everyone's packet.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Okay. Thank you very much. Motion carries. Do we have any awards or presentations today? If not, we do have two speakers today. And would like to invite each for a time limit of 5 minutes. First, Miss Betty Bellamy is with Jacob's Well Ministry. And ma'am, I'm going to ask you a few questions when you get to the podium.
Okay, thank you.
And that's just to record that you are here with us today for comments. And Miss Bellamy, you are with the Jacob's Well Ministry?
I am, sir.
And are you speaking on behalf of the ministry?
I'm speaking on behalf of the board, yes.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. 5 minutes.
Okay. I've just got it laid out here. I thought I could get it over with quick. My name is Betty Bellamy. I'm the treasurer. Jacob's Well Ministry, which I'll refer to as JWM from now, is an all-volunteer 501c3 nonprofit organization serving the needy and hungry in Jackson County since 2013. Jacob's Well Ministry currently distributes on the third Saturday of each month from the community center in Skyline. JWM also supports our Backpack Buddies program at the school. While some local food pantries ceased operations during the pandemic, Jacob's Well Ministry continued distribution by following the North Alabama Food Bank pandemic criteria and converting to a drive-through distribution to protect both pantry clients and volunteers. JWM maintains an annual $12,000 a year food budget, paying all foods that are distributed from the North Alabama Food Bank. JWM is currently funded through the generous donations of local churches and individual pantry partner donations. Each needy family receives a generous portion of shelf-stable food as well as several pounds of frozen meat each month. The last 3 months, quick stats, 268 families representing 540 family members, which included 74 kids. The next month, 258 families representing 523 family members with 75 children represented. In the last month, 228 for 488 family members with 80 children represented. We ask this commission to donate to Jacob's Well the amount equal to 5 years of our food budget to be used only for food because we do feed the needy. And I've got a copy of this if any of y'all would like to see it.
Okay. If you would like to leave a copy, we can make that part of our minutes.
Thank you.
First of all, let me say thank you for what Jacob Wells does for our community as well as the other food banks.
We appreciate it.
We have seen certainly during the pandemic over the last couple of years an increased stress on food needs for families, and so again, thank you very much, ma'am, for what you do. Let me open the floor for any questions commissioners may have.
Mr. Bellamy, do you have, and I'm sure you do, records on how much increase you've seen since the pandemic
In my
began?
head, I do. The highest number that we saw before the pandemic was like 350 families. Then when the pandemic hit, it chunked down, and then it just kind of rode around 250. Because people were afraid to come out. They were hesitant to be out. They were in quarantine. They were sick. You know, so we did see a number. Then our numbers kind of gradually came up again. And then with this last, whatever they call it, Omicron, the numbers dropped again. So we predict after this is all over and done with, that we're going to see our numbers drive up again. Because when we were all healthy, it was moving towards 350. And we give out about 15,000 pounds a month of food. And all of we go to the food pantry with private vehicles, with a trailer and a pickup truck, and bring in about 4 pallets a week, 3 times a month. So.
Okay. Other questions? Well, again, let me say thank you, because without what you're doing and the other food banks are doing, we would have families truly in severe situations with food assistance in this county.
You know, people ask us, who do you see? We see the elderly, we see the disabled, we see the underemployed, we see the unemployed. We see people that are just, you know, down on their luck, they lost their job. We may see them 3 months and then they don't show up again because they'll tell you, if we get a job, we won't be back.
If I can ask one more question. If someone wanted to get in touch with you to get on your rolls, can you tell me how to do that?
Okay, my phone number's on that,
Okay.
but they can come the 3rd Saturday of the month if they're new. Come to us, we'll fill out paperwork for them, bring a photo ID, that's the showstopper, no photo ID, no food. And we will ask for a residence proof, which is either a water bill or a utility for that month, for the most recent month. That way we'd establish the residency. We are USDA with the food bank, and so we can't give to Tennessee, Georgia, Mississippi. We have to give to Alabama. And then we don't restrict to Jackson County, but those numbers I just told you was pretty well Jackson County.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
Next, Ms. Brittany Williams would like to talk to us about North Sand Mountain Recreation.
Would. My name is Brittany Williams, and I'm just wanting to add a T-ball field and extra parking at the park. We've got 150 kids that signed up right now, and there's no, I don't know if y'all been up there to game, there's no parking whatsoever.
Right.
People are parking out, getting stuck. So if we're going to keep working up there, and I want to improve it very much so for these kids.
Okay.
That's it.
You were the one I spoke to earlier in the week or last week. Okay. I'll ride out by there and we'll take a look and see what we can. I'm all for expanding it, the T-ball field, and have a place for the kids to go to. So that's a huge number.
Yeah, we need it in that community. We really do.
You mentioned parking. Is there enough parking to support an additional field?
If we bring in gravel and make more parking, there will be. As of right now, they park there anyway. There's no gravel, there's no nothing, and there's so many people showing up at the fields, there's no parking. So they're up on the roads, it's dangerous.
So you asking the question, what we've done is we've asked our Director of Parks and Recreation to go take a look, and in our work session, if you have the time to stick around, he is going to discuss what we think we can do. In answer to that, I know you talked to Commissioner Rich and brought it to his attention and then to David's attention, so he took a look at it. So, okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Appreciate it.
So at this time, we'll move to our new business portion of our agenda. We have several items on the agenda today in new business. First of all, as I started out inappropriately, you do have two sets of minutes in your packet. The January the 10th, 2022 meeting minutes and the January 24th, 2022 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to adopt the minutes as provided from the 10 January and 24 January 2022 meetings?
I make the motion that we adopt the minutes as provided.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Have a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. At our last meeting in the work session, we had a request from the city of Bridgeport for some support for their River Park activity. You do have a letter in your packet from Mayor Hughes requesting that. There were some questions asked in the last meeting. I'll give you some information that we got regarding those questions. One was, have we ever provided funds out of industrial development board funds to Bridgeport? We have not. What funds have been provided to a water project, to Scottsboro, to EDA, and to Stevenson. Those funding requests ranged in amounts from $18,300 to $35,000. The current balance of our IDA, Industrial Development Board funds, is $220,503. So the request is in your packet. They're requesting for what funds that we could make available to them. It is a request for the commission to support their efforts at the River Park, which will be part of their Tennessee Riverline activity. And as discussion last week, the Singing River Trail plans to also anchor our North Alabama location with that park. So if I can get a motion to approve the City of Bridgeport funding request for Riverfront Park with the Industrial Development Board funds.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a second discussion. I would ask maybe discussion of recommended amount.
There's roughly $50,000 a year that goes into this account off the TVA in lieu of, correct?
Mhm.
I had at one time proposed the idea that we do a grant system with this money instead of just doing it upon request. I would like for us to consider doing that and maybe even setting it up on an off year from election time. I wouldn't mind doing a $50,000 grant or two $25,000 grants or five $10,000 grants. And we have a window opening for a grant application, and then the commission review and award the grants that we think would have the most economical impact for any given community requesting funds.
Okay, any consideration for this specific request at this time?
Did they not have an amount that they requested?
They left that to our discretion.
Okay.
I would suggest we have seen some requests in the amount of $25,000 for similar kind of activity. That's just information.
I'll be fine with 25, whatever everybody agrees on.
If we're gonna try to do $50,000 per grant cycle, if we do $25,000 this year, can we do a grant for $25,000 next year? They could reapply. Anybody else that wanted to apply could reapply or could apply for us to consider.
I think the grant cycle idea is a very good idea as we move forward in the future with this, with what we get and what we have in our funds. I'm sure there are going to be a number of needs for industrial development that helps economic development in communities. As the mayor says, what's good for the town is good for the county. What's good for the county is good for
They also had a Riverline project or a part of their Saturday. I didn't know nothing about it right then. Yeah.
But I think it would be good to grow this account. I know the delegation, when they set it up, it was their desire And I think it even says in the language of the bill for it to build $1 million in it. And then the money go into the county general fund after that. I think it's the way it was written. That's been since 2014, I think, when it was rewritten. But we had a year that we allowed the growth to go in, and then a year that we do grants out of it, as long as it's economic development grants.
So far, this is the only, as I'm aware, the only request we've had this year. We're only in the year, but this is the only request we've had this year.
I think there might have been another one, but we'll discuss that later.
Okay. So do we want to consider $25,000 for this specific request and then proceed with the idea that we set up a grant process in which we would review applications and make decisions based on best economic value to the community?
Amend your
Yeah, that motion. Yeah, I'll have a motion to do that.
I'll
Make a motion.
second the amended motion.
And the amended motion is for $25,000.
$25,000.
Okay. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion?
I just want to echo Commissioner Venable's sentiments that I very much think that we need to have some criteria set up. I do want this money used to support the citizens. It doesn't need to just sit around if we can prime the pump with it, which is what it's intended for. But I don't want us just picking and choosing them. We need an announced grant process with a grading rubric and committee to review and make sure that these projects are worthy of the money. And so I just hope that we can have that in the future.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the City of Bridgeport funding request for an amount of $25,000 for the Riverfront Park with the Industrial Development Board and funds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda is we have Southern Health Partners have submitted an amendment to the health services agreement for base compensation. That is in your packet. The amendment would increase our monthly payment by $1,640 for a yearly amount of $19,680. Though Deputy Nash is not here today, I discussed this with him. He said this increase in the base compensation would keep a nurse practitioner or a doctor there twice as long as we currently have them during a month period. And that will, in his mind, create a situation that will pay for itself if we can prevent one hospital stay by one inmate. And with that increase, he expects that will serve the jail better and prevent more hospital stays that would have to occur in the cost of that. So with that, do I have a motion to approve Southern Health Partners Amendment to Health Services Agreement for base compensation?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve the fee for the schematic phase at the Jackson County Park at High Top and award contract. Let me turn the floor over to Commissioner Venable.
This has been presented to you guys at the last work session. It's just it would get our park concept started. This group would do some renderings and some placement of the things that we want to have available at the park. It's kind of the first step, and it's a needed step if we want to move forward. We're trying to get grants and set this thing out by phases. And
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the fee for the schematic phase at Jackson County Park at High Top and award the contract?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
We have a second?
I'll say.
Do I have a second? Any further discussion?
Yep, my question, Jason, is this what TARCOG will need for grant application? Okay, so excellent.
So with that, if no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next is a motion to approve increase in commission share of the cost for the security work at the juvenile court building. Let me just comment that last year the commission saw the need to increase security and increase the structure of the juvenile court facility to ensure improved security. And worked with the commission at the time. I was not here. Worked with Judge Graham and Judge Words and the members of the juvenile court staff, and looked at the changes that needed to be made, set in motion, action, and approved action to do that, get that work done. At the time, the agreement was that the commission would fund $8,000 of that request in a share ratio or relationship with the court system. After completing all of the work, the total cost of that work came in at $23,580. $8,000 is not quite half of that, so there's a request that we consider increasing our share by $3,790 so that the commission pays half of the share cost and the court system will pay the other half.
Yeah, I'd like to point out one thing. The third item on this breakdown, that is the front door and the glass windows in the front of the juvenile court building. If you guys will remember, that was still in question as to whether or not that door could be replaced, if they were going to have to replace that whole storefront. And that's why that wound up being as much more money, is because they did have to replace that entire storefront.
And there was a bunch of what ifs, if I remember right.
Yeah. So we agreed to the $8,000 just to get the project started, but I'll make the motion that we split the cost of the remaining balance.
Yeah, and I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion?
I'm just thankful that this building is more secure than we found it, so glad this work's been done.
I agree.
And I would say the commission made a good move in making sure that this action was taken, given what goes on, the work that is done there. So
I would like to say thank you for the court system for being willing to pay their, a portion of it, because that's our building. They didn't have to pay for it, but we certainly appreciate their help and support.
okay, with that, no further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda, we have a motion to award the contract for 2 digital repeaters using community development block grant funds. This was a grant that was put in place requested in the November timeframe, approved in the July timeframe. There were 2 bids. The MCA contractor was the low bidder at $26,855. That is within the estimated amount that we had for the 2 repeaters. The low bid is $6,271 less than the other bid, and it is a Huntsville-based company that is provided this low bid. So do I have a motion to award the contract for the 2 digital repeaters using community development block grant funds?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, second,
I'll second.
To the low bidder?
second.
The low bidder, yes.
The MCA, yes. Any further discussion? Okay, no further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Last on the new business agenda is we have just completed an audit of our Council of Aging, and I am going to turn the floor over to our Director of Council of Aging, Mr. Chad Coleman, to provide information.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. As the Chairman said, we just had a ALDOT performance review / audit, and very minimal findings. Everything went well, but they have requested that we have a document of procurement procedures, which is the exact same thing that the county does for all the other departments. But this just has to say FTA in it, so it's the same bid process, public notice process, how many bids were from, it's the exact same thing that we do. They just want to see it, that y'all have updated and approved it with FTA stamped on it. So I'm asking for you gentlemen to approve that.
I could ask a question.
Sure.
The change is the date change in
Yeah,
the update,
I will just,
and
we'll put
it's a
today's date if
recent,
it's
recent
approved today.
signature on the
And
document.
then you'll have to sign it.
Okay,
Any other questions?
so do I have a motion to approve the signing of the procurement procedures for the rural public transportation at our council of aging?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second. Any further discussion?
Thank you.
My comment would be, I think this audit was from 2012 until current,
Yeah, we had to go back a ways.
and the finding was we needed to update the file with this document.
Yeah,
And it's well done.
the staff there before me has done a good job up until now. Proud of them.
Okay. If no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen.
At this time, I'd like to move into our discussion, work session discussion items. First, been some work on our communications tower, so I would like to give our director, or EMA, a chance to discuss that, please.
So, the work is complete. Took about 4 days from start to finish. As you can see right there, there's a tower climber way up above that, and that's above my pay grade, and I wouldn't go up there. But this is the entrance between the new roof and the attic where the old cabling came through. Just want to see how tight that stuff was pulled, and at the angles that it was taken to go up the tower. This portion right here, across this beam, was the insulation had come off of that. So there's that, and that's just basically from heat and cold and contraction and that kind of stuff, and it wears on those things, even when they're so still. This right here is the outside cable trace on the courthouse. And that's not original equipment, that's from the courthouse squirrels. And 3 more of those on up through that trace all the way up the side of the courthouse. You'll see why that's pretty important here in just a minute. That's the old cabling entrance. As you can see, those are tight holes, and any kind of movement in those cables will cause them to wear. So we had a company come in from Madison and drill us a nice clean 4-inch hole there, and they run cables through there. And that's the inside, that's in the coroner's office, that's where everything comes through to our office. None of those antennas there had lightning protection at all on them all these years. So we had a 120-foot lightning rod up in there with no lightning protection. So we got lightning protection on all that stuff there. As a big improvement. That's some of the cabling. The cabling is color coded now, where if we have a problem with something, we know which cable we have a problem with, we know which antenna it's connected to, we've got a map that tells us what is where, and that's pretty important too, in case we have something, we have to troubleshoot everything we have. Some more of the interior work. Scottsboro Power Board was very gracious to come help us one afternoon to go to the top of the courthouse and pull off the top portion of that cable trace where it goes in over Judge Ram's courtroom. Now, this is some of the old cabling that was taken out. It's not supposed to look like that. The squirrels were using that as nesting materials. You can see where, especially in this picture, where the center core conductor there is touching the ground, and we know we don't have a hot and a neutral together. Causes problems. I don't even know how half that stuff is working. Those are the antennas that were taken down. All the delamination that's taken place simply because of the weather. Those are some of the new antennas that they put together on the ground. We did wind up, we wanted to originally keep one antenna. It was compromised, so we wound up having to add an additional So everything out there is completely new at this point, with the exception of the tower itself. And those guys earned their money for sure. The finished product there is clean, neat. It doesn't look like it did before. And, you know, of course, any antenna's going to be an eyesore on top of the courthouse, but this looks better than it's ever looked. And the good news behind that is that we came in $3,000 under bid, even with having to add an extra antenna. So,
Well
$4,000
done.
and $3,000 under, I think we're in good shape. We should be in good shape for the next foreseeable future. You know, and if a radio system happens to be added or changed, we'll just put an antenna, feed line, and radio, and we're good to go.
Is there anything, Paul, that can be done to that cable tray to secure it better?
Colby and I have talked about looking at something to keep the animals out of that. They're coming in at the bottom where all the HVAC runs up the wall. And we discussed that. We're gonna try to make sure that they can't condo in there.
Yeah, we definitely need to protect that.
And that's how they're getting in the building too.
No squirrels will be harmed during this process.
Area of denial is what we're looking at right now.
That's right.
Anything else?
Would you mind sharing the weather threat for Thursday? I know it might.
It's up in the air right
Is
now.
it?
We've got a chance of severe weather all day. During the day, it's daytime hour deal till right to the very end, so that's better. I like that better anyway. So we'll know what to recommend by Wednesday afternoon. Kids nowadays don't get weather days anymore. They just go virtual, so it's not as tough to kind of keep them home.
Right.
Paul, a question, and you may have said it and I may have missed it, but increased capability with this new?
All we have to do, we've got our capability now where we can talk with the digital systems in the county that are currently in use, which is the city of Scottsboro, Scottsboro Power Board, water, sewer, gas, all those folks. When they have a disaster, we can communicate with them now. The sheriff and the rescue squad are going to a digital interim channel. We'll be able to talk to them now, and they'll be able to talk to their folks from the EOC. And like I said, later on, if we do what's in the long-term plan, we'll have to add an antenna and a feed line and a radio, and we'll just keep problem trucking.
Moves us closer to being digitally capable across the county in
That's
communications.
correct.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Paul.
Next on the agenda is with Park, and Ms. Williams, we're going to talk about the T-ball park a bit. So I'd like to turn it over to our Director of Parks and Recreation.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. As Ms. Williams indicated, she is the director of the youth sports up at North Sand Mountain Park, baseball, softball, and t-ball. And they have a really good interest level out there right now. I believe she said 41 signed up for t-ball this year, which is probably by far the highest ever. Which brings us to what they want to do, and they have put together a group of parents and citizens there who want to provide the labor and materials to build a t-ball field and also to bring in gravel and expand their parking. The t-ball field would be out, if you're familiar with the park, behind the right field area of the park in the back. There's a big open field back there, big wide open field. That area where the t-ball field would be is they actually use it for t-ball practice and other practice now. So they're already using it. Yeah. Hopefully you guys got that, but it's right there. And they would install a backstop, dirt infield, and have a field where they could play games, t-ball, which would then they wouldn't have to share the big fields for t-ball with the others. And the gravel parking area, as you see there, that is over. You can sort of see there's a little area where you can see where people drive a lot, where it's kind of worn out between the outfield fence there, and you can't really tell what it is, but it's another fence right there, which separates the ball fields from the walking trail area. And as you can see there, it's already getting used a good bit. And they would like to bring in gravel back in that area where people are already parking now to make it better. And of course, our parks maintenance crews do all the mowing and maintaining of this park. And I've actually been out there and helped a couple of times when we've been short-handed. that area where they are parking now can get very, very wet, in rainy seasons. So it's not ideal in any way right now for parking. Matter of fact, over across the fence, just across the fence there by the walking trail, I got a mower stuck in the mud during some of the really rainy, stuff, we had last summer. So they would, put gravel in there to make it a better parking area in an area that during busy times is already being parking for grass.
I'm gonna interrupt just a minute. You keep saying they. Is there a chance that we can assist with the gravel?
Not easily, no, sir. I mean, I think they've indicated, Ms. Williams has indicated that they have all the materials and things lined up.
Okay.
The county can buy gravel, of course, it would just have to come out of the park budget.
I'll let you continue and then we will ask questions. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
That's okay. All right. And, like I say, they want to provide the labor and materials, or have volunteered and said they want to do that. As far as legal considerations, consulted with Mr. Porter to make sure that is allowable, since it's county property. And it is, as long as the conditions are met, whatever they do becomes a part of the park and is our property and would operate just like the other fields that are already there and the whole rest of the park. And that is something they understand and are perfectly happy with. I met out there with Ms. Williams on, was it Friday? I believe it was last Friday. Of course, I was already familiar with the area to an extent, but I saw the exact spots where they want to do all these things, and I don't find any issues whatsoever with where it is. Say, these areas that they're using are already being used, at least some, for those things, for T-ball practice, not so much games, because it's really not suitable for games, because it's just a grass field that they, put out bases and practice with. And then the field that's used for overflow parking, because there's nowhere else to park.
Right.
So, I don't see any issues whatsoever with getting this done at all. I think it'd be great, great for the community, great for the park.
Okay. Let's open the floor for questions, discussion.
I got one question, maybe Mr. Porter, if they bought the gravel, could the county haul them?
Sure.
If we had to,
Or vice versa, I mean.
yeah, vice versa, yeah.
Next question. Are we gonna monitor in any way the process for this? As far as the
As far as the
construction?
work
Yeah.
and the construction, yes. Yes, I would be out there, to monitor the process and see the finished product and that sort of thing. So yes, I would be monitoring.
I know it's difficult when you deal with a large group of people and this one's supposed to do it this way, this one this way. It may be beneficial to you guys if we had somebody kind of monitor and say, this is the way it's gonna be done. Like, strip the topsoil before we put gravel down, because if we don't, the topsoil's gonna push up to the gravel and we're gonna wind up with a messy parking lot that's no use to anybody. And then it's gonna be a big problem we'll have to take care of later. So we kinda need somebody to watch it through the steps and make sure that we do the right
That
thing.
would be, my expectation is that I would, whenever they begin, and like I say, through the process, go out there and look at it and monitor it.
Well, any drainage need to be put in? You mentioned that it was wet in that gravel area, or proposed gravel area.
I don't think so. It's mostly flat. It's just, the area out there, for whatever reason, it just holds water. It's just, when it rains, that's some very thick grass too.
Possibly maybe put a French drain in or something, that could be a possible
Okay.
easy fix.
Don't mind us asking what all, in here, what all's been donated or promised to be donated?
Sand and dirt for the fields and gravel.
And the fencing.
Okay.
I guess I would like to just push a little more of the gravel. I know we did gravel for the Council of Aging, when we did, it really was riprap that we put out on the back, as we did that. Could we get an estimated cost for gravel, and at least consider that. We may not do it. I'm not saying we will, but at least put that before the commission to consider.
I can work with Ms. Williams and as far as the cost of gravel, I can get with Mr. Campbell and, of course, we have a county contract for gravel. So once we estimate what we need, how much we need, we can get pricing on how much that would cost us.
And we're okay with just looking at cost of gravel to see what it would cost and take that under consideration.
Do you have any rough measurements on the area, the size of the parking?
Not exact, but I'm just gonna guess here, it's probably about a
300 by
150 by 300. I'm gonna guesstimate, give or take a little bit, because the fence kind of curves around there, so. Doesn't that sound about right? I want to say about 150 by 300. Maybe a little smaller than that, depending on the topography and the fencing.
Ms. Williams, do you have a local contractor that's volunteered to not only furnish, but spread and grade? Okay, good deal.
Okay. If it's volunteered and furnished, then,
Rock on.
yeah.
Good job. It's a perfect example of not only volunteering your time, but getting others to chip in as well. Thank you for that.
And just to note that the storm shelter out there doesn't look like it is in this picture. I think it's been painted. Yeah. It's been
I also
painted.
noticed that when I was looking at that's the Google image there. So, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure the county commission can beat donated gravel price.
Well,
Okay.
but like I say, I know they're eager to get started, so,
Okay.
That's what I was asking about the gravel were donated. What about the hauling part for the county?
Yeah.
I mean, we could probably
That's a good idea.
haul the gravel for them.
I'm guessing you got somebody that's got the stuff and able to roll. You just need permission.
Please thank them for us for their time and efforts and their donations. We appreciate that.
And as somebody that grew up playing on those fields, I'm super excited about the work being done.
Is this,
We picked up chert rocks every day before practice. That was our.
is this something that you need us to act on today, or if we put this on the new business agenda for next meeting, would that be timely enough?
We
No?
need to get started as soon as we can.
We need to get started.
So we can get it done before our season starts.
Ms. Porter, are there any questions we need to be asking on this? I mean, it seems like pretty
The
straightforward.
things we talked about, making sure that the work that's being done is approved by the department, and the methods and the safety issues, those kind of things. We just need to make sure that we're okay with all that when it's done, and y'all can coordinate that so that you approve the work that's done.
Sounds like we probably need to set aside the rules and have a motion to allow approval to proceed on the T-ball field.
I make a motion, we set aside the rules so that we can vote on this measure.
Have a second?
I'll second that motion.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. At this time, do I have a motion to approve the recommendations to establish a T-ball field at North End Mountain Park?
I make that motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second the motion with the amendment that we monitor it, just make sure that that's in the motion.
The road going in there, does it come down through here? Is this in pretty good shape now, this road here?
Well, the road that they're using to get to the parking area is right here. And there's a fence here, and this road over here, that's actually a paved walk.
Okay, yeah.
So
this in here?
yeah, this area right here would probably need a little bit of gravel too, because that's, like I said, that's what's being used now to
Right.
access.
Okay.
Okay. Any further questions?
It wouldn't be a bad idea for some of us to go out there and, go over it, and take a look at it,
Okay.
which I'll be available just about any time.
I'll let you know.
Okay, no further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Real hard.
Motion carries.
Now, can I make another motion that maybe the commission used to play the first T-ball game on that field?
Hope it's a donkey softball game.
Oh, I'm for that, yes. Get a Clydesdale for me.
I think we better get back to the agenda.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Gentlemen, and
Next.
I'll get with Ms. Williams in the morning. You can call in the morning, we'll move forward.
Thank
Okay, thanks, Ms. Williams. Next, there was a question that was asked, particularly with some of the pictures that we've seen regarding some of our ramps at our park areas for our boat ramps, and so asked Mr. Coggins to take a look at what our responsibilities are regarding county boat ramps and the safety of those and lighting. And I know that we're going to have a speaker next meeting, but wanted to have Mr. Coggins provide a quick update on where we are with that.
Yes, sir, as Mr. Nance said, we will have a speaker next week, next meeting from the State Department of Wildlife and Natural Resources. He'll be able to fill you in further on what the state would like to do, and also some ideas for some things. But I started doing some research with the state and with some questions that you guys have had about state-owned boat ramps and what we have in the county and what we're supposed to do with them. And there are typically what happens is the ramps that they own, if a ramp or access area, as they call them, is located inside city limits, they typically try to get an agreement with that city to do the maintenance. By maintenance, generally that mostly means mowing and keeping it clean and, looking out, minor repairs and that sort of thing. In Jackson County, there are six or seven ramps that are outside any city limits. And in those cases where there is no city limit involved, the state usually tries to set up agreements with the county for maintenance. One of those, and there are maybe seven, but maybe six. There's one of them I'll get to in a minute. Hard to determine at this point whether it's inside Scottsboro city limits or not. We'll have to do some.
Sportsman landed.
No, sir. No, it's not a state-owned ramp. But there are seven. One, of course, is the Comer Bridge ramp, which is the most visible for sure. The county did enter into an agreement with the state in 2016 for that ramp. And so we are responsible for that ramp, and we have been maintaining that. And I believe before that agreement in 2016, I believe there were previous ones. So county's been maintaining that for many years, and will be for many more years.
David, is there a dumpster there at that?
There is not a dumpster there. There is now, Ms. Green at Solid Waste was able to get us one of the roll-around carts just recently for over there. There's not a dumpster there, but there is one of the big green roll-around garbage cans.
The reason I ask, there's a lot of people that bring fish. They do the boat fishing, and that makes a mess.
Yeah.
You get down top of it.
Yeah, there is that there. And at that ramp, as far as lighting goes, our agreement does not specifically address lighting at all. Our state agreement, but there is a light down near the ramp itself, which was put there by Sand Mountain Electric, and they maintained, although it wasn't working back before Christmas. They've since fixed that, and we also talked with them and got them to add another larger light that is much bigger, big LED, back at the other end of the ramp, which has that place lit up pretty well now. And of course, South Saudi ramp down in Langston, great ramp. You'd be hard pressed to find a better access area than that one. That agreement is actually with the state, the county, and the town of Langston. Langston agreed to put up the lighting, and they pay for the lighting, and it's lit up like a Christmas tree. Great, wonderful lighting out there. Like I say, it's a nice ramp, as you all know, and we do have that agreement in place. Then there are three other ramps which the county has maintained for a number of years, and talking, at the office with our personnel. Connie has been there for 10 years now. And she said as long as she has been there, the county has maintained these 3 ramps. They are Mud Creek, what's the official name? Long Island, or Hogjaw is what we call it, way up there, and the Langston Road across from the treatment plant. So I started doing some research and contacted the state, and even though the county has been maintaining those, keeping them mowed, keeping the trash picked up, that sort of thing, there are no formal agreements that I can find with the county, and gentleman, Mr. Henderson at the state, cannot find any either. So now there probably, what happened is, who knows when, many years ago, there was probably some sort of verbal agreement in place that we would maintain. But there's nothing formal, and they would like to get something formal, and Mr. Henderson will talk about that more next week. One of the areas of concern is the Langston Road ramp. That's the official state name for it anyway, the one across from the water treatment plant. And for a number of years, I think it's been the safest in the world. I think there's been a lot of stuff going on for many, many years there. And part of what precipitated this whole discussion was we were looking into the possibility of putting in some lighting there. And I talked to Sam on Electric about it and got the details of what it would take. And it wouldn't be a huge issue to put it there, expense-wise, $2,000 or $3,000 probably, and $30 to $50 a month for the lighting. But in absence of an actual agreement to maintain that, we really don't have a good reason to do that, if you know what I mean, because it's technically not our responsibility at this point. Which, I say these 3 ramps is a little muddy, pardon the pun, especially with Mud Creek, because we maintain it in the absence of any agreement. But there are lights there, and who knows where those lights came from or how long they've been there. But once again, for at least 10 years, we paid the monthly bill for those lights. So who put them up, how they got there, who knows? But we are paying for those lights. Then there are a couple of more ramps. One is that North Saudi ramp, which is on that old dead end road that juts out right there almost at 72. If you're going west on 72, you look to the right and you see that old blown out bridge or whatever it's called. There's a small ramp there. And I looked at 2 or 3 different maps, and one of them indicates that's in Scottsboro city limits, and one of them says it's not. And so if that one is not in Scottsboro city limits, they would like for us to maintain it. It's very small and would require a little bit of mowing and, some trash pickup. Wouldn't be too big of an issue if we did maintain that. The one at Raccoon Creek, I'd never been out there to that one before until a few weeks ago. Went out to that very, very odd area, kind of dead ends. The road basically dead ends at that ramp, and it's a very residential area. Of course, the biggest maintenance requirement there is driving out there to it and getting down there to it. And plus, it was kind of hard because it's in winter. I don't know how much mowing would be involved because I couldn't tell what was growing where, and couldn't tell because it's in there's cabins and little houses and campers and stuff all around it. So not sure what would be involved there, but that's another one they would like for us to look at and consider maintaining. Any questions about those?
Just a comment, Lake Gunnersville, of course, is one of our most valuable resources in this area. And I, growing up in Langston, I'll be out in my boat, and when I put my boat out, one of these ramps we're talking about, you hold your breath when you're pulling up to the ramp, see, because your vehicle may or may not be there, and then you may or may not have windows in your vehicle. So it's very important that we address these issues.
That's going to be difficult, especially at the Langston Road, the treatment plant ramp, because I know that it's been an issue for years, and safety lighting would certainly help. Not sure that it would constant surveillance is just about the only thing that's gonna totally eliminate it. But the lighting will certainly help, and I've actually, tried to figure out ways to make it safer. And
Our people need to feel comfortable putting in at these ramps.
it's a beautiful spot, and it's a good ramp, and they built a new dock there by the ramp. I mean, it's a really nice facility, and it is a shame that it can't get used more.
I agree with what Mr. McBride said. Anybody that fishes or hunts from boat ramps in Jackson County, if they've done it very long, they've all got a theft story, and me included. Several.
Yeah, that one, and of course the one at Hogjaw, which I think the state's official name for is Long Island.
Not
It's
only
very
for our
isolated
local
as well.
residents, but our visitors, we need to do whatever we can do to try to curb that activity. Mr. Porter, do you recall us entering into any type of maintenance with TVA on boat ramps? Seems like there was at least some discussion several years ago when Matthew Hodges was here. I don't know if we ever actually went through the approval process or if it was just something that was presented.
Seemed like, I do recall those discussions, the ramp at Stevenson, I remember that one. There was it seemed like a formal agreement regarding that ramp that the county would provide some assistance there. I don't remember what it was, but I do remember those discussions.
Best I remember, there was multiple ramps, and there were some of $5,000 a year that TVA was going to pay the county for maintenance costs.
Yep.
And I don't know if that ever got done or if it never got done. If it didn't ever get done, maybe that's something that we need to approach TVA about, seeing if that's something they could still offer.
Now, I turned it in to the previous chairman, but I got a letter not long after I got in informing me that there was maintenance to be done, and it came from TVA. It was like addressed to me, these are the things that you will do.
Right. See, I got a phone call shortly after our last chairman resigned, and I was acting as chairman, and it was a parking lot issue. And I told the lady that called that we don't have a parking lot in maintenance. We just had the grounds.
But there was
She
details
called me back.
about the wood missing and things, and I thought, that's not.
She actually called me back and told me I was correct. So she looked at a document somewhere that said we didn't have the maintenance costs the maintenance on the paving and the parking lot. We just had the grounds maintenance.
It seems like, and I can go back and look, see if I can find those formal agreements. It seems like we did have an agreement where TVA would make a financial contribution, and then the county would assume the responsibility for whichever ramps we were talking about. I don't remember which one.
We can also then look at the record and see if we entered into a resolution regarding that, so we've got a record.
It was during Mr. Hodges' tenure, so it was between 2014 and 2016.
David, while we're talking about
2012.
these ramps, what would it take to add some kayak launches? I mean, not at every one of them, but something that would allow a person to enter and exit a kayak without having to get in the water.
Well, since they're state-owned, that would be something that they would have to approve for one, and then obviously finding the money, because I don't think they would have an issue with most of those things as long as they come out and inspect and approve it or whatever.
Because I know for our Tennessee River line, that's going to be a big access.
But I will say that when Mr. Henderson does talk with you and we enter into any negotiations, they have indicated that there might be some improvements that they can help share the cost in. For example, the lighting at Langston Road, and I have launches here, and there's also been, I've had a couple of citizen requests for a small, just a small 6 to 8 foot dock out there at the Long Island Hogjaw ramp. So I think they might be willing to at least share some of those costs with us if there are things like that we would like, because we're going to be spending our money and our time to maintain these things. So I think certainly those are things we should try to.
So the most,
negotiate with them.
the most of the ramps have a dock there.
The one out at Hogjaw does not have a dock. I believe that one at Raccoon Creek, I believe it does have a small dock, and of course Mud Creek and, the other big ones too. I think maybe even that North Saudi one may have just a little small, 6 to 8 foot docks.
People buying these Ranger bass boats and these high dollar boats, they don't pull it up on the bank.
Well, and in the case of Hogjaw, there really isn't much bank to pull it up on. There's a lot of the big riprap and stuff, and and that's what one of the gentlemen told me. He's like, I don't like having to climb over that rock to get to my boat.
Right.
So certainly it's a legitimate request. But those are the kind of thing that we should ask the state, say, hey, we sign this agreement.
Right.
Put in the agreement that you'll pay some of the cost for kayak launches or whatever.
I do think we're getting into the discussion we want to have on the 28th when the state representative.
I do have one
comes
additional
in.
thing. Are you aware of what TVA is done at Sportsman?
I'm actually going to address Sportsman's Landing in our comments
All right.
in a few minutes.
We'll
Yes,
talk
I
about
do
that.
have an update on some things I've worked on.
Okay,
At
thank you.
TVA, with TVA at Sportsman's.
Good.
Okay, I think the discussion on boat ramps and safety sort of leads us into our first topic in the commission discussion, and that's on my Lake Gunnersville briefing and discussion. Would like to ask our President CEO of the Mountain Lakes Chamber of Commerce, who is very active with My Lake Gunnersville, to give us an update on what's going on there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Chairman asked me to give an update on My Lake Gunnersville. I think it's going to want a little bit of history. Let me do that first. First of all, it started out in the 90s. We created a Lake Gunnersville Stakeholders Group, and the reason for that is because TVA at one time had eradicated all aquatic weeds in Jackson County, in Lake Gunnersville, and it destroyed our fishing industry. It pitted the fishermen against everybody else, and it got ugly. Some of y'all may remember some of the boats going up down the highways rallying, and I mean it got ugly. So the Lake Gunnersville Stakeholders Group was formed back in the 90s. I was a part of that from day one. TVA has been spraying the lake for many years, decades, and they tried everything. They even tried the sterile carp, and that didn't work. They found out the carp weren't sterile. So they tried a lot of different things. Like I said, they actually eradicated the weeds at one time, and it just destroyed our fishing industry, and that's the last thing we know. So the Lake Gunnersville Stakeholders Group was formed to help manage Lake Gunnersville. Not eradicate the aquatic vegetation, but also not let it run rampant. Worked fantastic. It was actually looked at as a model program around the entire United States. We had people coming from all over the country or calling and saying, how are y'all doing this? Because we were working very close with TVA. The people that were part of the Lake Gunnersville Stakeholders Group, it was made up of government officials from Marshall and Jackson County, businesses, homeowners, chambers and tourism organizations, and fishermen. We wanted to make sure that the fishermen were included, so everybody was at the table had a say in what we were doing. It was a very good program. We worked very close with TVA. We met annually with TVA with a map, and we would literally mark on the map where to spray, where not to spray. If it was a place that was not developed, they wouldn't spray it. If it was a place that was developed, or there would be new places that people had built on the lake, they would spray, and people were able to use their boat docks. So the group was very successful. The Lake Gunnersville Stakeholders Group. TVA at the time was spending $1 million a year. It took us forever to get that amount out of TVA. They just wouldn't tell us, but $1 million a year. And Judy Miller was the chairman of the Lake Gunnersville Stakeholders Group. Did a fantastic job for many years. We lost her here a few years ago when she became part of Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth's staff, and she was the chairperson. So when she left, she was so good that it took two to replace her. So myself and Matt Arnold, who's the president and CEO of Marshall County Economic Development Council.
So everything was going great until TVA came to us and said, we're going to stop spraying private property. And that was what they told us. They said, we're going to start, next year we'll cut a third, next year another third, next year another third. Wound up being probably about $600,000. So they said, y'all are going to have to make up the difference, the local communities. So we told them there was no way. We argued with them. My big argument, I still argue with them, telling them that there's no such thing as private property when you get to the lake. You put a toe in the water, it's public. But they didn't listen, and they said, we're going to cut it. So we started telling them what was going to happen. We told them that people were going to take it upon themselves to treat their own vegetation around their boathouses, and they're going to use what works. Some of them told us that they would have found something that works, antifreeze. And so you never get that out of the water, and that's our drinking water. So we argued, and then there was other organizations, other neighborhoods that said, okay, we're going to spray it ourselves. And when they spray it, sometimes there was one particular neighborhood that they used a little bit, they used a chemical that was approved, but it eradicated it. It got rid of it, all the weeds. So exactly what we predicted would happen happened. So we worked very, very close with TVA, and we got them back to the table. I'll tell you what got him back to the table is, if y'all remember when Joe Rich was, he's an attorney over in Huntsville, he got on the TVA board. I've known Joe for 25 years, and I told him, I said, we need your help. He became chairman of the board, and he got TVA back to the table, thank goodness. So we talked to them, and they came back to us, and they said still that they're going to start cutting a third, but they were going to help us manage it. Well, when they did start cutting a third, if y'all remember a few years ago, Roseberry, it shut it down. The weeds grew so bad that boats didn't even come into County Park to hardly use County Park because it literally shut it down. So we realized that TVA said we are still going to cut. They're back to, by the way, paying the full amount right now, but it's coming to an end. So that's when My Lake Gunnersville was created. When we realized, hey, we're going to have to do something, we're going to have to find money to do it. So My Lake Gunnersville was created, and y'all take one, pass that down. It was created to help with this issue. There's 4 parts of My Lake Gunnersville to address the invasive aquatic plants, invasive species, which that's a whole nother topic we could take all day to talk about, because Asian carp, they're in Lake Gunnersville. Thank goodness they're not as bad as they are in Kentucky Lake. They destroyed Kentucky Lake, absolutely destroyed. If y'all have ever seen any videos of Asian carp, if you hadn't, go Google it. Google Asian carp. A boat can be going down the river, and because of the vibration, tens of thousands jump up out of the water. They'll knock you in the head. They can kill you. So we know that that's an issue that we're working with TVA on. Erosion of our islands, mainly from the cormorants. It's a major issue. If y'all have ever seen cormorants out on the lake, on islands, it destroys the islands. And of course, the last thing, contamination in litter. So we realized we're going to have to come up with dollars. We needed the funding to make up for what TVA was cutting. We looked at everything. We took months and months and months. We looked at raising, power bills a dime. Ain't going to happen. TVA said no. We looked at raising water bills a dime per person. No, they would not do it under any circumstances. They said that's not going to happen. We looked at just about every way we could look at. We got to come up with funding. We looked at looking at the utility departments to contribute. That's probably not going to happen either. So wound up, we settled on adding $5 to boat registration fees. That was one that got a lot of consensus. So we got with Senator Clay Schofield at the time, and Senator Livingston helped with it, along with 2 representatives over in the Huntsville area, and they successfully did that. It was passed last year. Boat fees were raised $5. It goes into a state fund. That money is already being collected as we speak, but there will not be available to January of 2023. It'll be a statewide fund, but we can apply for grants every year. We can use our partner with TVA with amount authority spending, so there won't be a match. So hopefully by next year we'll be able to tap into that, and we'll have our money covered to be able to every year continue to do what we have been doing in the past. So My Lake Gunnersville also wanted to do and find out
Mr. McBride was talking a while ago, the importance of this lake, and it is. It's absolutely probably the top asset we've got, and everybody in this room probably agree with that. Nobody had ever done an economic impact study of Lake Guntersville. You know, we had figures that TVA guessed at, and, you know, they were fairly close, but we partnered with Marshall County. And by the way, everything that we've done through My Lake Guntersville and the Lake Guntersville Stakeholders Group is a partnership between Jackson County and Marshall County. Great partnership. We work very, very well together. So anyway, we decided that we wanted to do an economic impact study, so we partnered with Marshall County on that. It had never been done before. Study just came out, and the economic impact of Lake Guntersville for Jackson and Marshall counties is $1.2 billion a year. And here is a copy of that report. I will be glad to send that electronically if anyone would like to have that. I don't know if you had a copy, Mr. Chairman, or not, but we'll be glad to get it. But if you include Blount, Coleman, DeKalb, Madison, and Morgan County, it goes to $1.43 billion. So it's a huge economic impact. It's the biggest asset we got. We have got to make sure we continue to protect it. I want to thank some organizations that made that possible, because the study itself was about $24,000. City of Bridgeport, City of Scottsboro, City of Stevenson, Town of Section, Jackson County Commission, Goose Pond Colony, and the Mountain Lake Chamber of Commerce funded this study. So thank y'all. Thank y'all. I thought it was very, very important to do this. Another thing that has happened 2 years ago when we went to Washington, we're probably the smallest chamber of the state of Alabama that does a Washington fly-in. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to go the last 2 years because of the pandemic. But we've been doing this for almost 30 years. Well, it pays off. We brought millions of dollars back for the airport. But also, 2 years ago, my topic when we were talking to our congressional delegation was My Lake Guntersville and the need for some money to fund the continuous monitoring and managing the aquatic weeds. Senator Shelby's office jumped all over it. He was very, very helpful. He put 2 staff persons that I work very, very close to. We just recently, like in the last just few weeks, found out that we got $200,000 from U.S. Fish and Wildlife as a direct result of Senator Shelby helping us. Was on a Zoom call last week with them. You talk about an act of Congress to manage this fund, these federal dollars. We needed help, so thank goodness for TARCOG. We invited TARCOG to be on our call with us, and they're actually going to manage this grant process, and it's a ton of work. We didn't have the expertise nor the time to do this with My Lake Guntersville Stakeholders Group. So TARCOG, Sarah was on the call, and she's going to take it over, and she's going to be a tremendous asset. So as y'all know, TARCOG is very, very, very beneficial. So they're going to be setting that up. The money's going to be run through the WET Foundation. We created the WET Foundation several years ago. That's stands for Water, Environment, and Tourism. We needed a 501c3 to fund, and we'd already gotten some donations through the years. So that WET Foundation is the organization that the money, the $200,000, will be run through. And what that's going to do is give us dollars between now and next January to tap into to spray this year. Senator Shelby's office is also trying to get some additional dollars. They've mentioned possibly getting us $504,000, but this is going to be $600,000 every year. And we got to make sure that we have the dollars to be able to do that. We think that we're going to be able to have enough money in that fund that was created by the state to tap into every year, but other lakes around the whole state can also apply for grants. So if somebody had a major issue, and no matter what lake you are having in the state of Alabama, there's some issues. Every lake's got some type of issue. So there'll be other people applying for that dollars also. So we got to make sure that we've got enough to do it. So we need to make sure that we keep Lake Guntersville vibrant for fishing, water skiing, wakeboarding, living, canoeing, kayaking, boating, attracting business and industry. And we got to keep our biggest asset vibrant and make sure that it's usable, especially with the new things with the Tennessee River Line and the Singing River Trail and everything else. But we spend each year, the chamber spends about $50,000 for bass tournaments. They don't come for free. It's a competitive thing, but the economic impact is massive, and we got to make sure that we protect our lake.
Rick, did I understand you right that it's TVA's intent to completely draw down the money that they spend on?
They will continue spending it on public access. Okay. So any type of public park, any type of public ramp, all
channels.
The channels, the little things that they cut through from the main river channel to the bank, they cut these cut throughs. They will continue doing that, which is $400,000 to $500,000 a year. That will continue. Okay. But what they call private property is coming to an end.
Well, I agree that, we need to manage it and keep it, in check, to promote the fishing and the skiing and the, other activities, but, that's TVA's lake.
Oh, it's,
I build houses and you go below the 601 elevation, they'll let you know right quick, that's theirs,
You
so.
can't cut a twig on
It's
it's on
just-
601 without their,
you know.
oh, believe me, Jason, we have argued this.
I've argued it, I've heard you argue it,
Many times,
but,
in fact, every
it's
time we
just
have a meeting.
real heartburn to me
Oh,
that
yeah.
the taxpayer is having to foot the bill for taking care of
We have.
their lake.
That's right. Couldn't agree with you more. They don't like me because every time we have a meeting, I said, I just want to go on record, this is your responsibility, not ours.
I've seen you do that,
Yes,
and I've done it as well.
yes. So, but it's like talking to a brick wall. It's gonna happen. They're gonna start when the money starts coming in and we're able to do it, they're gonna start the third, and then it'll be back down to, just what they call public access.
So Rick, we participated by helping fund the study. Now, the study's over. I know you're involved with continuous My Lake Gunnersville meetings. Would it be appropriate for county commission members to get a seat at that table, even if it's against the wall, to lend support to what you guys are doing with TVA?
I think it'd be very much welcome. Absolutely.
I would like to thank the mayors. I've called each one of them when Sarah Stahl, that was employed at the chamber at the time, got that started and
Yes, absolutely.
the mayors were very supportive, all of
Very
them.
much so. Very much so.
Rick, I got a question on that boat fee, the $5. Does that money that collect in Jackson County, does it stay in Jackson County or does it?
So it would stay.
Oh, same way.
State manages the entire program, and any money that is requested is through the state.
Okay. So we've got to apply for any grants?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Okay, Rick, thanks very much for coming and
Thanks for your
sharing
support.
that with us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next on the commission agenda is, it is time for the 2022 spring cleanup activity. In your packet is a memorandum that has come out of, to inform us about that. Don't drop it on Alabama. Spring cleanup dates are provided here. Also is a list of materials that are available. And this, you guys know it better than me, as we've been involved in a number of years, though last year we did not get a pickup. But they're offering the opportunity to pick up these materials, and those materials will be made available to the cities, counties, and volunteer groups who would want to participate in a volunteer activity to recycle plastic, soda bottles, aluminum cans, and other things. So this is here. We would need someone to pick up. I have a large enough pickup truck that I can make a trip to Montgomery and pick up supplies to do that. So that's in our packet. There is a registration form in the back for those communities that would like to participate, and I believe we would be the distributor of the materials that could be used for the pickup. Any comments?
And so Denise, do you want them to call you or how do you want this?
Okay. At one time, we had a recycling entered in Scottsboro. What happened for the reason?
Scottsboro does have recycling. In fact, one of the things they've asked for us to do is they are seeking a grant where they will distribute recycling containers to municipalities around the county. If the municipality then would transport them back to Scottsboro. And so I got a call the other day from Stacy Ledwell asking if we would put together just a letter of support. It doesn't require us to any activity or any funding support. It's just a letter of support, and I'm in the process of putting that letter together.
The recycle trailers that the commission already owns, is that something that we could let out to the cities and have Scottsboro Recycle pick up, or
I gather we could do that, but one point about that, apparently when those recycled trailers hit the municipalities, a lot of people thought they were trash collection trailers, and they were dumping so much trash bags in there that they were unable to separate trash from recycle, and it did not serve its purpose. So I think that the city, with their recycling, they do have a plan, containers that will be marked for different types of recycled products. So I think they have a pretty good plan in place to deal with
Will these wagons be brought out to like all cities, Stevenson, Bridgeport, Pisgah, wherever, or is it just gonna be in?
I think they've reached out, as I understand, they've reached out to cities. They have those that want to participate, and that's who they will provide the recycle to. Okay, if no other comment on that, and again, I do have a truck, I could make a trip and pick materials up. We have had a number of discussions on the use of Liberty Lane, really discussions broader than that, how to be most efficient with the buildings that we have that the county is responsible for. Liberty Lane, by the way, we approved initiating contract bid process for replacement of the roof. We will open bids on the 17th of this month. That's the date for bid closing and opening. We've had a lot of calls of interest regarding that, particularly trying to get clarification. So we have gone through that process and got that done. The Liberty Lane building's about an 18,000, 20,000 square foot building that has been vacant for now about 3 years, I believe. It is an opportunity for us to address some of the issues we have with COVID. That is we look at the ARPA activity. One of the things that they want to address is how can we make sure that we have good social distancing, we have resilient capability across the county, that we then also have the opportunity to use ARPA funds to upgrade this building, make it a site that is available, that we could put some of our county activities in that building. And that building is located in an area that is close to shopping that many of our citizens are doing. And the other thing is, as consideration is, by upgrading this building, we would be able to upgrade the HVAC system and other capability in the building to make it a safer, more resilient building to a pandemic and other airborne illnesses. With that, let me turn it over to Commissioner Butner.
All right. Yes, sir. What would you like to know?
How much is it gonna cost?
The cost, that's something that's to be determined. The cost should not be above what we can get ARPA funds for, but until we have a final check through of what structurally will need to be done to open it up, because one of the suggestions has been through registration and probate to create a bank-style lobby where the person will be able to go in and clearly see probate and revenue and the other services that will be provided, and those workers will be behind glass so that they will be any contaminant protected in the future, and so we'll be able to provide the service without cross-contamination. And so with that opening up, there's a little bit of structural work that will need to be done, and bathrooms will just need to be made sure that we've got handicap accessibility and things of that nature, and so that needs to be determined. But the cost should fall easily within what we've got budgeted for ARPA money for this project. And by bringing the extension office over, community action over, we've got a building on 72 that will be a property that we can use toward either any over on that, which I don't anticipate any over, but can certainly go back in the general fund.
You also comment that Liberty Lane provides a very accessible building where it's located. We have parking that is right in front of the building. It is a flat parking area. We notice a lot of times when some of our senior citizens are trying to get here that they're parking in handicap spaces on the downhill side. I think we've all personally seen some of them struggle a bit trying to get into the building. This would be a building that they would be able to park right in front of the entrance on a flat parking space, walk into the building, walk to a reception desk in the foyer as it opens up, be directed to where the station that they need to do their business is located. And like AJ said, the concept right now would be a very open foyer. So it's in the building, do your business out of the building. The other benefit here is it would reduce parking. And by the way, for those citizens that are using the building for either probate or for revenue, many days, particularly when we have court going on, it's very difficult to find parking space here. And some of our senior citizens are parking in the rear of this building and trying to get around the building to get in. In some cases, we're having to offer wheelchair support to get some of the senior citizens in the building.
One thing that's important for ARPA is that we won't have to close the building down if we do have quarantining issues. And if we were to have to close the courthouse now, I mean, that just has a detrimental. And so by having an annex type area that allows us to provide services and not have to close the whole building down. And if you come here at the first or the last of the month, we're either it's the folks that are eager to get in, the halls are congested, and the same thing at the end of the month. It's at a point where if we can provide safe access, entry, ease of entry in a way that's conducive to do the business, I think it's going to be a big upgrade for there. And then this building could be more secure and become a true courthouse, and we can provide the type of security that needs to be in a court setting. Which another thing that we've already talked about is the safety issue over on juvenile. Even with the upgrades of the building, we're still at a safety issue, because if officers have to respond, they're leaving safety in this building to go to that building, and thus this building's less secure. And so this using Liberty Lane in this way will allow us to bring juvenile into this building. And so that they're able to conduct court here, and our security can stay here and monitor the building that way.
Part of the consideration for funding this is not just ARPA funds, but also as we're able to vacate some of the buildings that we currently have in use, that we would sell those buildings, and those funds would be brought in to help with the renovation costs and both with Liberty Lane and any renovation costs that we would do here with funds available. I've asked members of the committee tonight if they would, they've been part of this discussion. There have been a number of questions, each of them have been asked, and so if I could, let me ask committee members to, Mr. Arnold.
So we had this drawing, this is our drawing. We've had it since y'all started talking about this, and I apologize, it's very crude, but it's just something we blew up, just to kind of to show you what he's talking about some structural issues. That it actually worked out perfect, that it would allow us to, that drawing I'm giving you, I would have 6 stations. So this is the building, if you haven't been over there. Walk through the front door, there's a men's and a women's public bathroom, very large bathrooms. So everything you see in orange right there would be the only thing that the public would access. Walk in, like I said, again, restrooms on either side, reception desk or guard, however that works out. So when you walk in, you actually see a person and ask that person, that person asks, can I help you? I need to renew my tag. Okay, go to one of these 6 stations here. I need to pay my property tax, or I need to assess property. Go to one of these 4 stations. I need to get my driver's license, boat license, hunting license. They'd send you to this side, or even if you've ever been down in the basement in the mornings and seeing all that traffic, I'm here to get a driver's license. So we think that this room here could be the waiting room for the driver's license lady, and then her have this office, maybe with a window or something like that. Pistol permits, if they come to get a pistol permit, we could give them this office here. So everything else in the building would not be public access. Mapping and appraisal, our records, everything, the probate office, the things that are not, we don't have to generally see the public. Have a very large conference room. It's probably twice as big as this, which would be perfect for our Board of Equalization hearings, any kind of training. Even if y'all had to use it, if you had to shut the courthouse down, had to use it for a commission meeting or something, it's about twice this size, I guess. It's a very large conference room. I would just like to say, as far as do I want to go over there as the revenue commissioner? I've been here 21 years in this building. I'm comfortable, so it doesn't really matter to me personally. I'd probably rather stay. It'd be easier for me to stay here. But if you're asking me what's best for the citizens of Jackson County, I would say this is a slam dunk home run, better for the citizens of Jackson County, just for what Mr. Nance said. You watch the little old lady get out and walk all the way around this building, or walk and go up these stairs, and the door's locked and they can't get in and go around. There's 125 parking places in front of this building, flat. You walk straight in, do your business, and walk straight out. I don't want to speak for Vic or the rest of the people that have been here, but I really see no reason to have a guard. I see no reason to have security. No offense to the security, but they're usually pissed off by the time they get to me anyway, because they've had to take their knife out of their pocket or get searched or something. So I really have no need for security. Again, we're going to be behind glass. I mean, I see this as being something that we're proud of, beautiful, a nice warm setting, but still with the safety measures in place to where, they come in and do their business and go out. So that would be up to you guys. Again, y'all know how the code reads. I'm wherever y'all tell me I'm going to be. So if you're asking me what's best for the citizens of Jackson County, I would say this.
So as I'm walking in there's going to be information displayed. So if I want to have information about community action or the extension office or any other services that we offer, it's right to counsel on aging. So it can all be readily available.
Yeah, so whoever, again, if that's a receptionist or a guard or however that is, if somebody walks in this door and asks for community action, we would just tell them, okay, go back out the front door, and this is what we see as community action here. No, not community action, I'm sorry, extension office. So they have a front door. Every one of these, if you've never been over there, is entry doors. So they would have a front entrance or a side entrance. And again, if they come in and say, I need to see Matt at the extension office, we tell them, go back out and go in this front door. Same way with my mapping and appraisal office. We have a lot of people come there every day to get copies of maps, talk about property lines, whatever. There's really no reason for them to get in this line and stay in this line. They can still go through this front door. And I see there's doors in here, barriers everywhere. So, they still would only go access this part. They still wouldn't be allowed to roam through the building if they went in. Same way would be if they needed to see me or Vic, or, there's ways where you could buzz them in and send them to the appropriate place.
Well, I know when I talked to Community Action, she was excited to know that they wouldn't have direct access, that it would be something that they'd be called out to her. So she felt safer that way as well.
The estimate that we put together, that we got Mr. Tubbs to do, whatever it was, it was a lot of stuff that
it was
everything possible. Right. And really all we need is this wall taken out. I mean, and just some cosmetic stuff. We can manage the rest of this. I don't see us having to have that. We would like to add a bathroom. There's a men's and women's bathroom here for the public. There's a men's and women's bathrooms here for all the people, the workers that can go out and use. And there's also a men's and women's bathroom here. But it would still be nice if you had another restroom, maybe for Matt's folks over here in this corner, or restroom maybe if it wasn't too much. I don't see that being too much, adding a bathroom here and there.
By it being non-public access, it could be just a bathroom.
Right, that's right. Yeah, it doesn't have to be men's or women's. But
So one of the questions that we did get, and it was from some of the folks who are looking at property records and other things, the lawyers, law offices that are using this. One of the questions came up, well, if you move probate out of here, that could create a problem. But I think Mr. Manning has come up with a solution for that.
So, actually, we had two problems. That was one of the problems, and then another problem is we have a ton of records, a ton of paper-bound records. We're not like the state. The state does a lot of e-files. So, in all honesty, we were going to have a problem with the space. So I think we all decided, and one of the recommendations came from Judge Graham, that he felt like I should still have hearings in this building, and we would just leave my records here. So they'll stay where they're at. So that the attorneys, the abstractors, the title searchers, all those folks who need to access those can. So that freed up enough room for us to move what we need to move over here, and then for the other folks to move. It was really, when we were talking about moving my records, it was really conflicting with the extension office about them having adequate space. So I'm going to leave mine here. And on that same line, I intend on leaving a person here who will be able to take filings from attorneys, who will make sure that we're available there to someone doing a title search or taking their money for to put on their copy funds or whatever. So we intend on leaving somebody here with those records, and that's another reason too, to leave somebody with the records, because some of our records, if they come up missing, then they're just gone. We don't have anywhere else to. I think Mr. Porter can speak for the rest of the attorneys that we don't need that stuff to be missing.
Okay.
And I would say this, though, you're talking about the bathrooms, with the possibility of this being used. I think Matt's got some real ideas about using that big room. You might want to look at making sure all those bathrooms are handicap accessible, and probably means that wings.
All right. Yeah, Matt, you want to share with us what you think about as far as using that classroom space and maybe the area behind it?
Okay. We all recognize, and this is my fourth county, having started as an extension agent. I was in 3 counties in Tennessee and now here. And meeting space is always an issue no matter where you're at. And it was for me a couple of weeks back. If you don't know, agriculture is a $153 million industry for the county. And many of our row crop producers are battling some, y'all were talking about the aquatic weeds in the lake and the river. We're dealing with the same battle in our row crop fields. We got resistant pigweed, horseweed, various things. So many of the chemicals that we're using now, they have to go through a yearly training. So I had that training a few weeks back. And due to COVID measures and also a lack of meeting space, I could have had 70 plus producers in this meeting, and I had to trim it down to 40. And so that forced those producers to have to go to Center or Madison or somewhere else to get their training done. Just having a meeting space where they can come to one location would be great. Another thing too is that Miss Vanessa Roberts is our new 4-H agent, and she's done a bang-up job. I'm very proud of Vanessa. She's currently got almost 1,000 kids enrolled in 4-H, and she's only been here maybe a month longer than I have been. And so you got an opportunity there to not only get those kids those life skills by having a meeting space like that, but then outside there's a playground area, there's a covered pavilion, there's woods out back. There's so many opportunities to do some outside demonstrations, get those kids involved in nature. She's got a forestry and wildlife group that she has started. That's an excellent opportunity to have an outdoor classroom just right there. And then on my side of things, working with Master Gardeners and other groups, there's outdoor space to be able to do some homeowner techniques, whether it's lawn care or gardens, or even putting some sort of demonstration plot out there for our farmers on some different species or techniques that may help their profitability and their efficiency of their operations. So for me, I've had to move offices in my prior places. This one excites me. because of the opportunities that you have not only for adult education, but for youth education as well.
Okay, thanks.
So everybody that we discussed going in the building has got space in the building. We didn't have anybody that wound up left out.
No.
We have approved floor plan that accommodates everybody.
We have a floor plan concept that accommodates everybody.
Yeah,
The next step is, if I could, the next step is we need to get the engineer in there to do, or an architectural engineer, to make sure that whenever we make those adjustments, that we're not violating, load bearing or anything like this. We do that. We don't think so. Our group climbed around the building the other day and did not see any load bearing issues.
So some of us did climb as well as others.
But, we had mentioned having a community input meeting.
Absolutely.
Shouldn't we do that maybe before we do the engineering, just in case something develops from that meeting that would be beneficial to include or exclude?
The one thing I would think, I don't have a problem with that, is trying to get the cost. And I think it would be important for us to have an idea of cost when we get the community public hearing. And one of the committee tasks was that we had to have a public hearing before we could make a decision to go there. And that's, remember the commission discussion, we all said we had to do that. So we can go with our estimate, rough estimate of cost. It may be a good idea to have a good estimate of cost, and we can lay it out if we want to. I think what we want to show at the public hearing is a design concept of the building inside. We could do some work and make that a truly attractive place that the citizens of Jackson County would be proud to go into, very comfortable, very accessible, take the burden off here. COVID is going to be around for a long time. I hate to say that. I think we all believe that. We would hope that's not the case. But doing something like this gives us a degree of resiliency in the county, and we are not putting everybody in the courthouse. We have spaced people out so that we're making it more safer for the people. But Jason, you're right. We got to have a public hearing on this. We can give an estimate for cost. Based upon Mr. Tubbs' look and what we think would be the things that we don't have to do from that cost estimate. But ultimately, for the commission to make a decision, we're going to need that engineering analysis and a real cost estimate.
I agree. I just, like I said, I want the community and seek the community's input. And as early as we can get it, because, they may see something we don't see.
Oh, absolutely. I think the more eyes you get on it. But I think it goes back to Danny's original question, what's it gonna cost? Well, I can't give you a what's it gonna cost until we know what we're gonna have to.
And we don't have to limit ourselves to one community input meeting. We can have one as a think tank type meeting and not mention cost. And then if nothing comes out of that would prompt us to change anything we're planning to do, move forward with getting the cost analysis and engineering, and then have an additional community meeting to present the cost.
Personally, I'm okay with that. I think the point is we need to start moving forward.
I agree.
And to do this. And so I don't have a problem with us putting together our concept and ready to present. And I would propose that if we do this, we're not going to be able to have a community meeting here or so we'll look for a venue for that. I think a prior recommendation of Commissioner Rich is we're going to have public hearings, we're to have them after 5 o'clock rather than earlier in the day, so that we get maximum attendance.
So if you sat down and you made a list of pros and cons, I feel personally, being on this committee, the pros far outweigh the cons. You're dealing with safety issues, or you're dealing with space issues. We've got to do something with that building. It's got to be utilized or sold. Definitely, the roof is a priority that we're working on now.
Or the reduction of roof tops that we're responsible for at the end of all this, it will be a financial benefit.
Yes.
It's going to cost a little money to get there, but eventually, if we can reduce from 4 buildings down to 2 buildings. It should be a definite thing.
One other thing is, if I may, one other thing that can address is safety. All those records we have in the basement, they're still accessible and they're accessed by attorneys and their staff. If you ever saw that spiral staircase, that's how they get to them. It's not the safest thing for people to be going down. So if we were able to move the folks -1 out, maybe we can bring those up into that room to prevent people from using this. Now, I love the staircase. Gets a little hairy sometimes, especially if you're not feeling real well. But I think if you've been down that staircase, you know what I'm talking about.
I've been down it several times.
So let me ask the committee then. I would propose that we bring back a proposed date for a public hearing with the information that we have. We do need some work to sort of lay out a good artist concept of what we have planned.
So the young man that doing those drawings for us, I did speak with him, and he was kind of he didn't understand exactly what I was wanting, but I think he's going to get me something back that's more of an artistic drawing. He done me a computer program, which Ross had done the same thing. We got some computer printouts, but I think we need something that people can look at. And I think we all agree that we need something that people can see better than what I draw today. I draw that in a few minutes today. But.
So would it be possible for us to have a community meeting after our next meeting, and that way we're not obligating another day, and we can.
I think to put the information together that we want and put together in a briefing format to do that, it's going to take us about a little beyond that. And so we could set a date. I would agree with that.
What information?
Yeah.
How much information do y'all want?
Well, I mean, we can't be specific until we can be specific.
No, what I'm saying is we can give you close to, me and Vic, we use the same assurance, we use the same vendor, it's assurance software. So we know by our software numbers that we can be pretty specific and say that we could have 1,000 people in a day. There may be days we don't have but 100 people, but that's probably rare. But we're always going to have 200 to 300 people a day come here just to see us. And then there is days that we have 1,000 people a day. Do y'all want those kind of numbers for the community meeting?
I think it's important that we inform the general public, the people that are coming to visit you guys, how much easier this is going to flow, how much better it's laid out. I think we need a little bit of that information for the people that own businesses in and around the square, because that could potentially have an impact when you reduce that foot traffic. I know it's been talked amongst a lot of the owners of these businesses, and they don't feel like it would be that impactful, but I think we need to have that discussion in the public.
Do we want to talk budget numbers as far as, I've told you guys in the past that there is things that I can pay out of my state budget, which is prorated. So utilities, maybe the possibility of rent. I might even pay rent on the building.
First community meeting, I don't think I would get into any finances. I wouldn't get into what it's going to cost or who's going to pay what or anything. It's just
It's schematic and showing people what we have and how convenient it is, and those kind of things. I think is the thing that we need to do, and how we would operate a little better. How we would operate. I would propose that we not try to structure our briefing and agenda for the briefing here tonight. I think we take some time to put that together, and then come back at the next meeting, lay that out, and then schedule the community meeting.
One thing, I don't know if we can actually get this, but I think it would be important to share, talking about people that you see. If you think about it, Donna in the basement, the examiner, more of her folks that she sees are not from this county than others. So just like we were talking about, if you're talking about foot traffic, those people from Morgan County that's bringing their kid to take the driver's license test, they not walking around either. I think it'd be nice if we could maybe, and I don't care to talk to her if you desire for me to see about how many people she sees, because she might be having 100 people herself. And if 75% of those people are not from Jackson County,
They're not keeping a business up
And
behind.
they're currently sitting in the halls down there.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
You take the Payne's soda fountain on the corner, it's been here since, I don't know when, before any of us. And it's done really well lately, you know, they've remodeled, they've got, you know, I've noticed their business picking
But
up.
when I asked her, she said, absolutely, my business will improve.
Well, I'm concerned about those businesses.
And that's,
You know, they're better at running their business than I am.
Absolutely, and that was my concern. I thought, how much traffic does she get from the courthouse and those stuff? She gets more out of town than she does from around, and so she's actually stifled in her business because of not having access to parking.
We make them mad, they don't spend no money when they leave.
Right. Somebody comes in there and gives Jeff $300 or $400, they're not going over.
Let me see if I can regain control of this commission meeting here, and I
Basically, hit
think
a
we know
pop
where
on
we're
the way
headed.
down to buy a tag.
We'll bring an agenda to the next meeting, and then in the meantime, we'll have a date for a schedule for a public hearing. With that, let's move to reports from the staff. First, County Administrator.
Oh, come on.
Bob didn't give you all the information you needed?
No, he didn't.
No? Okay.
He talks our ears off.
Next, our County Engineer.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. Intend to move quickly, but I would like to provide some updates on ongoing projects. And I plan to start with Rebuild, Alabama. County Road 58, the wearing surface finished up last week, so the remaining items on that project will be permanent striping, the shoulder rock, and the markers. County Road 38, contract crews mobilized this week, so the extra depth patching across those cross drains that are patched now and some of the base failure areas will be patched in the coming days. And then those attentions with contractors will turn to County Road 96 and 75. On our local road work, if you're following down that 22-mile list, we're making our way on down. The work in the Pisgah area completed last week with H3 and stockpiling aggregate, which is you may notice around the Rosalie area at the main intersection there. Those are for those roads that have been repaired for the surface treatments, and those crews have moved to the section area of County Road 120 and County Road 430 will see work this week and in the coming week most likely. 154 will be the road that follows those efforts, and then we'll move off the mountain. That'll complete the roads in that location. So we'll move off the mountain and look probably at the 530, 500 end of your district plan, Kevin. So that's rebuild and local. For our slope failure repairs, County Road 93 and County Road 38, as you recall, the geotech, geophysics, and survey work is ongoing. The survey scheduled to complete this week on 93. It has already completed on 38. The geophysics is complete on both of those locations. So looking ahead, we will, after the data processing is complete with the geophysics, which they're working on now, and the survey completes, we will convene with our contractor there and look at a boring plan for both locations and have some discussions around that. And then finally, County Road 189, there's a photo I provided, hopefully. The unfinished is our project, and the other photo is just a reminder photo of where we're headed, if we can all hang in there. So the geotechnical repair work, that the hazard is mitigated. That road is completely contained. It's not going to fail. No matter how much it rains, they're going to have a road going up and down the mountain, and those residents can travel with assurance on that. Now, having said that, we have a lot of work to do yet. You can't see the roadway section in this photo. You can see the completed wall. The grassing, mulching, seeding and mulching grassing items still remain on the work downslope. And then our roadway items that is separate from their contract have to take place. So there will be contract crews removing the upslope section of the ditch where that was piped for temporary purposes. And the cross drain will be installed just upslope of this location. And then we'll move in with road crews to reprofile that roadway in order to be able to get the guardrail established. So that's going to be our primary focus on achieving the correct slope on the roadway, getting that ditch established, and getting that guardrail to protect us. So the temporary delineation that you see in the photo will have to remain for the next little bit. One thing for consideration, moving forward, particularly as it comes to local road selections, or in particular this the section of roadway from this failure area to the bottom of the mountain, it's somewhere near a 1.5 mile section. It's completely deteriorated. So the construction traffic that occurred during this process took its toll on a road that was already in poor condition. So we will work as we have to keep it passable and to keep it as safe as possible, but it will require attention in the near future. So.
You made a pretty strong assurance that there would be a road up the mountain. I want to limit that guarantee to this section of road. You went out on a limb there pretty large, John. I just wanted to make sure you were aware.
Thank you for that correction. So for 400 feet, we will guarantee that for 5 years on. 5 years guarantee. Any questions?
Thanks for the work that you and your team have done.
One other question.
Yes, sir.
Our Durapatcher, is it close to being repaired?
Durapatcher?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Base failures that have been
on 33, 32.
One of them is that deep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It actually, there was an issue that is repaired, and then the pony motor that runs the pump it's having an issue now. So, but we haven't forgot about that.
Thank you, Chairman. He travels one pretty much daily that has the same issue.
53, there's a spot out there too. We haven't forgot about it.
I'm not asking for any help.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, County Attorney.
I don't think this.
Okay. As for a short summary of,
Yes, sir. Continuing the TBA theme, I had a call 2 or 3 weeks ago from TBA with some concerns and asking for our help out of Sportsman's Landing. The main issue was ATV activity, which I learned something through the conversation, but ATVs are not allowed on TBA land. Sportsman's Landing, our section of that land is somewhere in the 5-acre range there around the boat ramp, somewhere between 4 and 6, don't remember exactly, but that's what we're responsible for. And then TBA has a whole swath of land all the way up the river, up to the Comer Bridge, and I think maybe even some land north of there as well. But there has been a lot of ATV activity, and accompanying some of that activity has been some hunting issues. There was some vegetation that was cut down and made into a duck blind, actually not far from the boat ramp. Also been some issues of deer dumping in and around that area. I actually had a good talk with the local game warden about that, and he is pretty certain he knows who is doing that, but knowing and proving are two different things, obviously, but he has been working on that as well. But TBA asked for our help mainly with the ATV issue because there has apparently been a great deal of activity through the entire section of land along the river, and of course Sportsman's Landing is an easy access point for it. So we talked with them, and they asked us to do what we could. So we put up some barriers and some signage, to say that ATVs are not allowed. And of course, through the talk with our TBA rep and with the TBA police, they're all of the understanding as we are that, a lot of what we do won't prevent everything. Matter of fact, I was out there 2 or 3 days after we had put up some barricades and cables, and you can see where a small ATV had already made another little trail through the woods, which you could tell by the tracks, it was a very small ATV, so probably a kid or a youth on a small ATV. But we have put those signs up that say, hey, no ATVs allowed, and if they really want to get back there with the ATVs, they're going to be able to do it, but we at least made it harder for them. And on the hunting issue with the duck blinds and things. Of course, hunting is allowed on the TVA portion of the land, as long as you're following state laws and guidelines, and that you walk in, no ATVs. But they did say that for our portion of the land, that was our decision on the hunting. You know, so technically, if we wanted to allow hunting, we could, but from the boat ramp northward up the shoreline is between 400 and 500 feet to the border where TVA land commences. So we did add to our signs, no hunting within 500 feet of the boat ramp. So hopefully that will eliminate like I say, the duck blind that somebody cut down trees and built right near the boat ramp and some of the other things. So
Okay.
again, TVA police, they say they're going to increase their patrols and look out. Of course, hunting season's over now, so a lot of that will probably go away anyway for now. But they're on the lookout for it and ask us to do what we could to help them.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, David, I got one question.
Yes,
I
sir.
had a call yesterday about the shelter that we talked about going over the grills for the boat dock.
Okay.
Is any progress on that?
That would be something that you guys would have to advise on. It's not anything that was in our budgets to do. It's not anything that we have any plans for at this point.
Okay.
Did you get us a price on pouring a concrete pad and putting
That would be something that we would, before we did anything, we would have to draw up plans for what we want to do and get permission from TVA, because it would be below the 601 line down near the boat docks. So if that's something that you guys want to pursue, we have to draw up some drawings, and before we did anything, we'd have to get their permission, fill out Section 26 form, I believe, and do that. Then once that was approved, then we could get pricing. But I did a little bit of figuring and pricing I'd have to look back at my notes now. But it's something that if we pour a slab and build some sort of a pavilion type shelter thing of any size at all, 10 by 20 even.
Right.
We're how much things cost now. We'd be looking at several $1,000s.
Right.
So it's certainly something.
I mean, since they can't cook on the dock anymore on the boats, and we just needed to see if we can keep it in mind.
Again, I would need guidance from you guys on that. Like I say, it's not anything that we have certainly not in our budget or in our plans to do. But if you would like for me to pursue that, then I can look into it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Definitely something needs to be done.
It didn't cost anything to get a price, so
Yeah.
I'd like to look at getting a price on that.
Okay. Thanks, David. Anything from maintenance? No? Council of Agents? Done? All right. Thanks to everybody. Next comments from the commission, District 4, Commissioner McBride.
I have nothing to add, thank you.
District 3, Commissioner Buckner.
Just happy Valentine's Day for all you lovers out there.
District 2, Commissioner Venable.
Same, happy Valentine's Day, be careful on the way home.
District 1, Commissioner Rich.
I got a list here. It's about, I'm just everybody, just happy Valentine's Day, and everybody be safe, and go Super Bowl, go Rams.
My comment is I better remember to stop at Walmart and get a card on the way home.
Don't go home.
Our next commission meeting date is 28 February 2022. With that, do I have a
motion to adjourn?
I second that.
Second? You guys are getting ahead of me. All in favor say aye. Motion, this meeting is adjourned.